Hi everyone, I'm Shane Wellman of Wellman Audio, and I'm going to show you how to turn a mix that sounds like this into something that's a little bit more radio ready, like this.
From the valley low, in the darkest place, yeah, I can't find anyone like you. Satisfies quite like you do, and my heart is burning for you.
The song we are working with today is a song called Be My Love. It's by Justin Jarvis, but the recording was performed by my church, New Life. And to be fair, this original church mix is not really a mix at all. It's a recording that's taken straight from our Studio Live mixer. So every channel is dry, there is no effecting, there is no EQing going on, and the volumes are just all over the place. But that's kind of the purpose of this video series, to show you how to turn even the worst multi-track recordings into something great using what I call the 3 T's approach. The 3 T's thought process is pretty simple. If we achieve good timing, good tuning, and good tone, not only is our mix going to come together easily, our results are going to be great. Although these 3 things are connected, they're still very much separate. And beginners, and myself included in this when I was learning, we tend to lump everything into the last category, tone. And most of the time when beginners would have trouble with a mix, I'd hear them say things like, or even say things myself like, wow, that sounds really bad, the tone is terrible. So in an attempt to fix what they have identified as bad tone, they immediately go to the default tools that they are programmed to think will fix tone issues. You know, the things like EQ. But as you record more and more, you will come to realize that it's not always the tone that's bad necessarily, but maybe something else causing the problem. It doesn't matter how good the EQ of an instrument is, if the track is being played out of time, it's always going to stick out like a sore thumb in the mix. And the same thing with tuning. Take for instance a vocalist. It doesn't matter how great of a microphone you use, or how perfect the EQ is on that microphone, or even how perfect the compression, or whatever it is that you're going to use on that mic track. It doesn't matter how perfect any of that is, if the vocals are sung off pitch, the track is never going to blend well in the mix. It's just not. So usually, in order for us to achieve fantastic tone, we usually need to first achieve great timing and great tuning. And I'm going to show you simple methods on how to do all of that in this 3-part video series. And I'm going to take it one step further. Just to prove a point that good recordings don't have to cost a lot of money, I'm going to create this mix on an old computer running old software with some obsolete hardware. I'm running a 2006 iMac with Windows 7 32-bit installed, and some of the software I'm using is going to be about 10 years old. The only fairly new thing that I will use is Cubase 7. But even that is a few years old at this point. So the bottom line is I'm making sure that there's nothing fancy about my setup. It's very possible that a lot of you are already using a setup that's light years ahead of what I'm using here for this video series. So I have prepared my project already, and here's what I did. The song was performed live using a metronome, so I have the metronome set in my project. Metronome is important. Even if you're working with a live song that wasn't originally performed to a click track, set one in the project anyway. Even if that means the tempo of your project's click has to fluctuate to match the recording, at least all the instruments are going to be in sync with each other when we're done with what we're going to do. Also, I've tried to isolate things as much as possible. Since this is a live recording, there's going to be a fair amount of bleed in the recordings, especially in the microphone channels. So I just went through and I cropped everything. So for instance, when the singers aren't singing, I cut the audio out of their track. So I'm kind of manually gating some of these tracks. And now we're ready to begin our 3 T's approach. The first instrument we're going to tackle is the drums. Drums are the foundation in most styles of music, so mixing results are usually better when the drums happen first. So let's just go through the list. Number 1, timing. In order to fix the timing on the drums, I'm going to show you the most universal and easy to do technique. First, I'm going to group all my drum tracks together. In this way, by clicking one of the tracks, it's going to affect all the other drum tracks. This is a great way to edit multiple tracks at the same time. And then I'm just going to cut each drum hit and I'm going to move it in time to the metronome grid. And one thing you're going to notice is that sometimes after I move an audio slice, it may create a gap between our audio events. And I need to fill this gap, and I'm going to do that by peeling back the second audio clip. And I'm going to overlap them slightly. And for now, that's all there is to it. We're just going to continue this process for the rest of the song to get every single drum hit in time with the metronome. This is the manual way of fixing drum timing. It takes a while, but it's easy, it's accurate, and it doesn't require special software. If you want to learn more about alternate ways of correcting timing and faster automatic ways, and the hows and whys of these methods, make sure you check out our Elite Audio Recording course. And you could get your copy from the iOS App Store or the Mac App Store. Or if you don't have an Apple device, you can also get the course in universal video format from our website, wellmanaudio.com. Okay, so that process took a while, but who cares? It worked. Once all your slices have been moved in time and all the gaps have been filled, next we're going to select all the audio slices and we're going to crossfade them together. And now the drums are in time to the click. Okay, step 1, timing, is done. Now obviously the drums still sound pretty bad, but that's okay, we're making progress. And there's one extra thing I want to do before we tackle the next 2 steps on our list. I'm going to merge all these audio slices back into complete tracks. You don't have to do this, but for me it helps me with the editing process. Now I'm just going to work with tracks rather than 1,000 audio slices. So to do this, I'm going to make sure all my audio slices are selected, and I'm going to bounce the selections. And there, now we have full tracks again. Only now the full tracks are in time, obviously. With the drums, the next 2 steps on our list, the tuning and tone, go hand in hand. Since there are so many drums being recorded at the same time, and because there is always so much microphone bleed, there's really no way to fix the tuning of the drums after it's been recorded. Even if I wanted to do something wacky like, say, pitch correction, it would achieve nothing usable and nothing worthwhile. So we need to do something a little bit more extreme to fix our tuning. And what you'll find is that while doing this, it's simultaneously going to fix a lot of the tone issues. This method is called drum replacement. In order to replace some of these drums, I'm going to use a plugin called Drumagogue. And this plugin is also about 9 or 10 years old. It's nothing new. In fact, most new software like Cubase already has the ability to replace drums built right into its editor. But what I can do, I can just apply this plugin to each drum track, and I can monitor the hit points of that track. So whenever there is a hit, it can trigger a drum sample. Now our drums are going to sound like whatever sample we choose. So here's an example. Here's our original kick. Now here's a replaced kick. It's pretty easy. Now I'm going to repeat the process for every one of the drums except for the overheads. I'm going to leave the overheads natural. And the reason I want to leave the overheads natural is, for one, the overheads are really hard to replace. And also, leaving the overheads natural is going to help us maintain a realistic sounding drum mix. And now the tuning has been fixed simply by selecting good audio samples. And also the tone is sounding significantly better too. But in order to finish up with our last goal, good tone, I want to fix the image of the drum set by panning. So I'm going to make sure that the left overhead is actually panned to the left and that the right overhead is actually panned to the right. And I'm going to pan the toms so that they're set up actually like the drum set is set up in real life. And last but not least, since the overheads were left natural, they weren't replaced, I'm going to control them slightly just by adding a small bit of compression. And we can very gently tweak the EQ to bring out whatever is lacking. And here are the results. If you want to learn more about drum mixing and live drum recording, not just drum replacement, check out the Elite Audio Recording course from wellmanaudio.com. Next, we're going to move on to the guitars, so make sure you stay tuned for parts 2 and 3 of this video series. Thanks for watching.